going on, everybody, man? Was good evening. We're coming to you at a later time today. A little stuff got away from us, but hey, we are here. Welcome to Unfiltered. Uh, we got a lot. I know a lot of stuff kind of happened today a little bit. Of course, we had the inauguration, which was, I mean, to me, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. And I understand the tradition of it all. But it was a little, for a lot of people, noticing going around, there's a lot of it was nostalgic for a couple of people, maybe a little bit more special, especially a lot of women of color.
For the women, for sure. Yeah, especially for the women.
Yeah. So again, this is us here today. Mars, one of our regulars. I don't even want to call him a guest no more, but Marcel. There's a couple that's supposed to come on. He said he'll try to come on. And we just gonna continue on with the show. It is, of course. I got my cousin, one of our hosts on the side. I'm gonna let him go ahead and do this introduction. Man, we gonna get right into it for y'all. Okay?
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for continuing to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you have not shared, please share the video. Let's get us out there. This is your boy Mac Daddy, 1/4 of that Unfiltered. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm passing on to the host.
There we go. So we are about to really get it going today. Real quick, we ain't gonna be with y'all horribly long, but we got really three main things we want to hit. And I want to start it off with one of the most special. Well, first of all, it's been a great week of sports. See, we some sports lovers here.
Yeah, for sure.
So between basketball, football, it's just, I mean, you can't help but be pumped and get ready for it. So again, we letting all y'all come on, and let's not forget, this is our first Wednesday of our fan relief giveaway. Understand that for anybody that want to be a part of that, you gotta actually be on this bad boy tonight live watching us. That's the only way that's gonna work. How you can get it going, pop it off. Like I said, regardless of what we gonna do, we gonna give some stuff away. All right. But with the sports, I tell you, this past weekend, this is probably the best weekend of NFL playoffs that I have seen in, I want to say maybe about a good 3 years that I've seen. We almost saw the upset of the century, which would have been the upset. The Browns, man. I want to get your opinion on this, cuz.
Hey, I know what you're going into. I'm gonna disagree with you, but go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think with the Browns? I mean, the game. Mm-hmm. I say this. I put it like this with the Browns. Hey, Kathy, what's going on?
Miss Kathy, what's going on? How you feeling? Let us know how you feel in the comments.
Yeah, please do.
Praying for your recovery.
Yeah, we praying for you. We stay praying for you, Kathy.
For sure.
And the Browns. First of all, I don't know how I could be a fan of a team from Ohio, but this year this team was just so, like, it was something special about them to me. I hate to see them go out, but if you can't beat the backup quarterback, you got to stop him. You got to stop him.
I think when he what was his name? Hines or Haynes? What was his last name? The quarterback?
Henney. Yep.
Henney. It was Henney. Look, I felt like this. When Pat was out and Henney got in, that was their chance to capitalize. And I'm not saying they played bad. I felt like they should have capitalized. I don't feel like they got robbed. I feel like the better team did win. And I felt like good coaching was the reason that the Chiefs won that game, because it could have slipped. It definitely could have slipped. Like, especially for that fourth and 1 when they have threw the ball. Great coaching. Because, hey, they could have just ran it in and got stopped, and then the Browns could have capitalized then.
Yeah.
I feel like that, to me, that was one of the top 3 games for the playoffs so far. That was definitely top 3. You think they got upset? I mean, upset. I'm sorry.
I don't want to say. I think they were I was talking a lot of junk. It was a horrible 9 call for that 9 helmet to helmet. That was a horrible 9 call they did. I think that I don't like, you can't let the game be in the hands of the refs. So I kind of blame that a little bit on them too. But at the end of the day, you gotta beat them. You gotta play. So I think that in all, it was just it was one of those games where they should have had it. When they intercepted Henny in the end zone, they should have went right back down there and scored.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. And like you said, good coaching, excellent calls. And guess what? That's why the Chiefs are defending Super Bowl champions. Say what we want to say. Last year in the playoffs, they played from behind in every single game, including the Super Bowl, and they came back and won. So, hey, if you want to be the best, like the words of one of my favorite, the greatest wrestler of all time, Ric Flair. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And they did not beat him. So Browns next year, hey man, y'all got a lot to look forward to.
But I am excited for what they did. I'm excited to see them next season. The defensive, offensive play great. I give Baker Mayfield more credit, but I look to see improvement next year from the Browns.
Absolutely. They can't. My thing is that they went from not being in the playoffs for, I forgot, like 17. I forgot how long it was, for 17 years. Then they get in the playoffs. They win their first game. Not only win, they destroyed the Steelers. Then they almost, but almost doesn't count in the words of Brandy, almost got to the AFC Championship, man. They got so much to look forward to. They just got to keep this team together. They can't let people go.
Unpopular opinion, I would have rather see the Browns and the Bills versus the Browns and the Chiefs.
And I agree with you because I just like seeing these young teams ball. It's something about seeing young guys hungry. They ain't never been there, new blood, doing their thing. But like we were saying, you got to get out here. You got to do your thing, period. You got to go out here.
Especially if I think Pat's clear to come back. But do you think he'll be 100% himself? If he's not 100% himself, then the game is like, all right, I'm giving it to the Bills, honestly. Don't get me wrong. You always got to go with the champs. But I feel like if Patrick Mahomes not 100%, the Bills definitely have this game. Josh Allen's definitely in his zone.
Yeah. I think, and not just Josh, man, but that Bills defense. These boys is like, they nasty, they gritty, they upset. It's like when they play with such this chip on their shoulder, like
they play with an edge. They play with an edge where like you can't count them out in any game.
And don't get me wrong, the Chiefs defense play like this too. They play real, especially the secondary, more so the secondary than anybody else. But I still haven't picked who I think is gonna win yet. But the interesting fact about what's going on this weekend, and that goes into our first topic, is futures past. Look what we got going on, y'all.
Yes, sir.
On the AFC side, we got the future of the NFL.
Yes, we do.
And quarterbacks. We got Patrick Mahomes, MVP, Super Bowl winning quarterback. He ain't even in his 4th season yet. We got Josh Allen, who last year showed brilliance. This year played like an MVP and got his team to the AFC Championship, what Buffalo ain't seen in I don't know how long since the great Buffalo teams of Jim Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas. And then you got on the NFC side, the two greats, two of arguably the best quarterbacks of this generation.
That's Goku with Vegeta, bro. That's Goku with Vegeta.
Yep. And that's like, it's the best way to describe them. These two is monsters. Like you said, Goku, Vegeta, Professor X, Magneto. These are the two. I was just telling me and my cousin was talking about it, and I was like, man, you know how long people been wanting a Brady versus Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl? You know how bad they've been wanting to see that? The two best, arguably, in each conference to go against each other. Now, the only thing about it is that they're going in the NFC Championship to play in the Super Bowl
versus actually playing the Super Bowl. But we get it. We get it. And you know what, sports miss a lot of things. We miss the LeBron and Kobe missing in the championship. We missed,
Yep.
you know, we missed the Kobe and Mike. We missed the, you know, Charles Barkley and Mike, but we get something with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And
Yep.
man, this is going to be a treat.
It's gonna be great. I'm telling you, this is gonna be a game. And I know everybody keep thinking, I'm like, you got two explosive offenses.
Mm-hmm.
Really do. When they want to blast off, they're gonna blast off. But then I put it down like this. And when somebody asked me about it, you got Aaron Rodgers, who probably gonna go down in history as probably the most accurate throwing quarterback to ever play the game. I mean, I'm just gotta be honest. Aaron Rodgers can throw. I mean, he can throw rice through needle eyes. This boy is bad. I can't even front him out. But then he got to go against the GOAT, greatest of all time. And I want to close this discussion out to so many people, cuz, and then I'm gonna get your opinion on it.
Oh Lord,
Tom Brady. Just how my cousin is very passionate about LeBron James, I am the same about Tom Brady. And I want to put to rest right now. I want to look directly in the camera. There you go. To all of y'all out there. Everybody said Tom Brady was a system quarterback. Y'all can shut that shit down now. Tom Brady then went over to a whole different other team, and he's the effect. We found out that this man is everything that we have claimed him to be, and then some. Winning, you can't coach winning. Either somebody got to have the desire to do it, or period. I'm just saying, like when we put, I put it just like this. I say Tom Brady, LeBron James. This is the only reason I can't put Kobe in this conversation. This particular one yet. But LeBron James, Tom Brady, and Michael Jordan will be in this conversation right here. And what it is that they have caused so many great, amazing players who are arguably Hall of Famers. They have single-handedly crushed the dreams of many players. LeBron James, you couldn't even come out the East. Let's be honest. You couldn't come out the East because he was there.
If you were in the East during that LeBron time, you are smelling the championship.
It was awful.
You were smelling it.
It was awful.
Look at it now. Like look what Toronto won. LeBron had to go to the West.
Yep. And then now that he in the West, people run into the East. And this ain't an exaggeration. But this is why I say I just can't put Kobe is amazing. The only reason I say this because during Kobe time, people were still getting to the championship during Kobe's time. But LeBron and Jordan and Tom Brady, these guys have been to multiple conference finals, multiple championship games. Now, there's only one of them that's undefeated, but I don't want to get all into that. But my conversation is, first of all, people got to understand what I see when I see Tom Brady. The championship is hard to get to. This is number one. When you see LeBron James go to 8 straight conference finals, and no, actually more than that, conference finals, but to 8 straight championships, that's only been even matched by the Boston Celtics as a team as a whole. This man dominated the playoffs for an entire conference, just like Tom Brady was doing with the AFC. Look, we ain't coming out the AFC.
Nope.
Y'all can fight over the NFC, but it's great.
So I think even with Tom Brady just this season, right? So I did think there was weakness without him being in Bill Belichick's system. And so while we had that first conversation, hey, is it Bill or is it Tom? And we can't even write off Bill because, you know, he had a bad season. We can't write off Bill what he's done for Tom or even what he's done for himself. But to see where Tampa Bay was, you know, starting off, even in the middle of the season, that they were okay, they're back and forth. Are they the wild card? Are they, you know, dropping off the first seed? Are they going to make the playoffs? And then just to see where they were and how they look during that time. When it's time to play, that's when you see Tom Brady at his deadliest. Like I said, just comparing it to LeBron, but like when you see Tom, like when it's playoff time and when it's time to put all the chips in the middle, I'm not betting against Tom Brady. And that's the God honest truth. And don't get me wrong, even before I wasn't a Patriots fan, not even so much a Tom Brady fan, but like as far as respecting that man, you got to give it to him. Like
Yeah.
I can't even that Eagles game where I'm like, listen, like I'm hoping that the underdogs get it because I can't bet against Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. And then, like you just said, then the other part, you got Aaron Rodgers, who people just tend to forget. And I'm going to give him more credit than anybody in this aspect. This dude, Aaron Rodgers, worked with guys off the street. I know that people say a lot of stuff, but this guy he will force guys to be great. He like, look, y'all got to go out here and catch it. Y'all got to go out here and do it. And still, in times where he didn't have all the tools, he still managed to continually dominate this division. Mm-hmm. You know, so to see these guys go against each other and to know that I really believe, and I really believe this, I think that the team that come out the NFC, I think they are the Super Bowl champion. I don't believe if the Chiefs go, I don't think the Chiefs are going to repeat. I think that point blank period, I think that Green Bay right now, on just looking, the paper test, just the visual, is the best team in the playoffs right now. That's just me personally. The defense is shooting up. Aaron Rodgers is definitely the best player in the playoffs. Ain't nobody playing better than Aaron Rodgers.
As far as what?
Oh, Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, are you talking about overall? Like,
Yep. I think that they destroyed the number one defense in the NFL. They destroyed the Rams. I love it.
I'm thinking about maybe Tom, only because of just because Green Bay had that bye their first game. I almost want to say they played more competition, and I saw more out of Tom Brady than I did Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I agree.
Aaron Rodgers didn't have to put a lot of work in to win these actual games. It's like look at the levels. Like, all right, he just beat the Saints with Drew Brees, and who he had just had beat last time. Freaking.
Yeah, of course they beat the Redskins, but
I think the Red
also they did beat the Packers too, so they put a whooping on the Packers this year.
And I think with the Redskins, this Redskins team that got in the playoffs, this is the most edge I've seen them play with all season. This is the best Redskins I've seen play, and it was just levels. And like I said, I think Tom had a little bit more on his plate than Aaron. And just like then when you see Aaron play, like he dusted him, like score wasn't close. Like, all right, next game.
No, I agree with you. So if you had to be picking this weekend, so we can move over to this other topic, you got your pick, Shaq, or put it like who you want to win. Who you want to see in the Super Bowl? Who is your Super Bowl like? Look, I want to see these two teams in the Super Bowl.
I already made my prediction. I said Green Bay and the Chiefs. But I think I will say this. I will stick with my pick if Patrick Mahomes come back healthy. If he doesn't come back healthy, then they're not winning. Green Bay, like I said, I just give them the edge over Tampa Bay because I think that they're more set as far as wanting to win. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I can't bet against Tom Brady, but I just think that right now Aaron Rodgers' experience as far as team chemistry gives him that edge as far as winning. And I don't just seeing how they win. I'm going with Green Bay, so I'm going to stick with my picks unless Pat doesn't come back healthy.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go. I ain't gonna go against. I'm gonna keep. I want to see in the playoffs. I want to see. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs and the Bucks. I think that's gonna be in there. But hey, Low key Bills. I'm rooting for y'all, man. Get in there. I'll root for y'all if y'all got in there and made it to the Super Bowl, man. That Buffalo, man. When you go to 4 Super Bowls and you don't win in a row, man. Whew, I'm rooting for y'all, man. I hope y'all get there, man.
But I will be happy to say before we close out on this topic that I don't care who goes to the Super Bowl. All 4 teams are deserving to go. They all played. All 4 played great this year. I know Tampa Bay was back and forth because of the chemistry and the injuries and staffing and all that. But just to see where they're at now, like I said, all 4 teams deserve to go. They all played great this year. They all had highlighted moments. They all show that listen, we're the better team in this conference, and we're going to show you. And but just the games that except for Kansas City. I'm sorry, except for Kansas City, the other 3 teams show that hey, like we're out of your class as far as competition. Kansas City, they always play even though they won most of their games. The thing that they're not careful of is they play to their competition and they somehow win at the end, which is cool. But these teams now, like it's you can't do that with these.
Can't
teams.
do it.
All the money, all the chips is in the middle, and they calling your bluff.
Yep.
So just make sure you got a good hand. When you dominate a team, you keep dominating. Don't let them keep coming back in the 4th quarter, giving them a chance to go ahead and end the game on you.
Okay, Kathy. Green Bay all the way.
I can see that.
With that. We got a lot of Green Bay fans and stuff, so I understand that, man. I understand that. I ain't tripping on that. Like you said, we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna get over to this next one right quick. Got 43 pardons. 43 pardons. Woof. Basically, this is this topic, y'all. Just in case y'all don't know. I mean, I know the big thing was the inauguration today, but I tell you, 143 pardons. I don't know what the record is, but it seemed like he did that quick. Or it also just seemed like he already had these guys on a list in the last couple of days, and he just pushed it through. But now it's I mean, it's not such thing as an ex-president. I think all of them keep the title as president or whatever. But President Trump,
he's not president
today, not even there. Gave 143 people their walking papers, gave them pardons and everything of that nature. And while we're sitting there, if you want to look up a topic, that's our topic for this one. It's 143. We are free. So go ahead and share that out for y'all today. Share that topic out. So I'm going through the list. I happen to be looking at the list of everybody who's free. Everybody that got pardons. And Kwame, one of them, Kathy. Miss Kathy, yes it is. Kwame.
Yeah, Kwame, you got Wayne, who didn't go to jail yet, but I mean, he was pardoned from what he was doing. Then you got Kodak Black and a few other people along that list.
Yeah, I'm trying to go down and look at some other
notables.
Yeah, trying to see right now. 143. Because actually, if you look it up, y'all see a couple of them on that bad boy if you get an opportunity. But yeah, it's
let's talk Kwame on this pardon list.
Yeah.
Like, do you think this is long overdue? Or do you think that because if this was another mayor or of a different race that he would already been out, that he would need a pardon?
Man, this is what I would say on that, cuz. And I was going to say something a little bit about all of it, but just to answer the question that you have right here. Do I think Kwame should got 28 years for what he did and that he was absolutely guilty for? I think 28 years is a little extreme. I think that's extreme. But his black ass definitely belongs in jail. And this is why I say that is because I'm speaking on behalf of the thousands of Detroit retirees who money ain't coming back, who worked for years for this city, And, and I'm telling you, Kwame and all the rest of them, did it. I mean, they just did it. Ain't no question in that. What price do you put on taking people's livelihoods and their money away? So 28 years, I think, is a long, long time. I don't agree with that, but I agree maybe more so. I think he's probably served enough time.
I agree.
He definitely shouldn't be allowed to run for public office again.
He's not.
And he definitely needs to be still paying restitution. I mean, that's my opinion on there. So I don't know everything that go into it, but he served enough time. I mean, that's a long time for, I just think, I just think about, that's all. I was always upset about that. Man, you took away from these retirees, man. These people, pensions and stuff is gone. I'm like, I hate when the worker always get punished for greediness. And then he was just too smug about it for me. He was a cocky son of a bitch. His father, who's a real gangster out here, didn't do no jail time. Destroyed his mother. See, people forget a lot of stuff. This stuff he did, his mother's career was over after this crap. Because she, like, don't do this, this your boy. This your boy. I'm like, yeah, now you done. Her next election, she came up, it was over for her. So, I think the damage already done for him and his family, his wife. Didn't his wife divorce him?
Yes, she did.
I think she divorced. See, yeah, I think the time he's already suffered enough, man. You know what I'm saying? Just, if you did it, pay what you owe. All of them. All of them. But the real person that should have been in jail this whole time, y'all want to know who it is? I'm going to tell everybody, just in case y'all didn't know. Christine Beatty. Because she's the reason when they did all that heavy investigation on him. Because all she had to do is get up there during that trial, during that whistleblower trial, and just act normal. And what she do? She came up there with that world famous light skin entitlement attitude and had all this like, no. Oh, no. I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. They're investigating you now. She blew it up for everybody. That's what you get for sleeping with a married man. You knew he was married. You knew Kwame was married. Kwame must have had a golden, some gold on his cock or something.
Something wrong with you.
Something was up with him. He married. So it is what it is. I mean, him too. You can't do it alone, but yeah, I agree with that. I think he served enough time. Get out here, man. He got to rebuild his life.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Now, all right. So next question, as far as 143, we know this is under the Trump administration. We know this is the doing of Trump. Do you think this? All right, we know everything that already happened under his whole time as president.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think after this happening, does it help still? Does it still help, or is it already too late?
I don't know. I think it's too late. I think now he just it's kind of like what you call I think a lot of this is just trying to repair collateral damage. A lot of these, but if you look at a lot of these lists, I'm going down the list. I don't know if you're looking at it too, but Steve Bannon, this cat, you know what I'm saying? This racist piece of crap. He granted a full pardon to him.
To
who? Steve Bannon. And that's with somebody that was on his administration. I think he just covered people who kind of covered him. Which, I mean, I would do the same. I mean, I would do the same thing though. I would do the same thing.
So, I remember, Lil Wayne and other people were endorsing Trump, and we know it was mainly because of him having the ability to get pardons and things like that. And with the people he gave a pardon to, as far as people on his administration, do you think he added these other people to kind of look like, hey, see what I did? And now that you have people like Lil Wayne and Kodak Black and Kwame Kilpatrick, do you think it kind of like he was trying to win over, I guess you can almost say the black culture, the hip hop culture on his side a little bit, even though it's already too late?
You know what's funny? Remember when people was talking about Lil Wayne so bad? Talking about, oh man, Lil Wayne, That motherfucker's a total racist. Yeah, Kathy, you already know who I'm talking about. Miss Kathy, you know what I'm talking about. Steve Bannon is an incredible, straight out racist, and he don't have it whatsoever. I agree with you too, Miss Kathy. I think it's too little, too late. I think that the hip hop community is just embracing Wayne like the God is out. You know what I'm saying? The God, I'm like, I ain't never called no other man, though, you know that. But my thing is this, and I ain't want to get into that, but I guess I got to now. Lil Wayne knows that he a felon, and he knew he a felon. So why you got the weapon on? See, I don't condone stupid behavior. I don't care who you are. You know what the deal is. Kodak, same thing, Kodak back. You're doing the same ignorant stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. So when you free these guys, I think about some of our relatives, because that's doing time or done time. They ain't getting no pardons. So you want me to clap because a few entitled, rich, black, you know what I'm saying, black said you thought it was influence that, you know, we hold to a high standard, or think you think we hold to a high standard, got loose. I'm like, forget it. Wayne, that was the plan. Like you said, he got a pardon. You know, he got the power to do it. Let me finesse my way into it. Even with Kwame, they've been asking for him to let Kwame do that with Kwame. They've been asking him. First time in, like, no, I think now I just like like you just said, it's like I'm just trying to clean up a little bit of stuff I did. Because I'm looking right here. I'm just about to read it off for y'all about Kwame. I'm trying to look up all of the names that I just really know. Kwame Kilpatrick. President Trump commuted the sentence of former mayor of Detroit, Kwame Malik Kilpatrick. This this commutation is strongly supported by the prominent members of the Detroit community. Vita King, Alice Johnson, Diamond and Silk, Pastor Paula White, Peter Carmanos, Representative Sherry Gay, Dinago, Karen Winsett, and more than 30 faith leaders. Mr. Kilpatrick has served approximately 7 years in prison for his role in racketeering and bribery scheme while he held public office. During this incarceration, Mr. Kilpatrick has taught public speaking classes and has led Bible study groups with his fellow inmates. So, hey, I mean, Kwame a hustler though. I mean, Kwame is I don't want to say he a hustler, but he kind of a spoiled. He that spoiled kid that was kind of a little bit sheltered. That he reminded me of he a failed attempt at Tariq.
Yeah.
He a failed attempt at Tariq, man. It's like he trying to be the big boy, but he's stupid. Tariq was smarter. And his dad is the version of Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Except Ghost don't get killed when it come to Mr. Kilpatrick. He like, man, forget that. But hey, I mean, I'm trying to look for the one about Wayne and a couple other people, because Henry O, one of the founders of Death Row, he got
out.
Yep. So
which is dope. I think Snoop Dogg a square in the mouth too, or something like that.
Yeah, I think I knew Snoop had a big hand in that. For a while now. I think he's been trying to talk to Trump about it for a minute, trying to get it done. But hey, they seem to find the Lord in prison.
You don't want to get raped. You don't want to get butt raped. That's why.
Miss Kathy, I was thinking the same thing. I just didn't want to say it. I'm like, man, he probably went in there like, hey, hallelujah. He led Bible studies. But I'm like, I mean, if he had did it right, you know what? Hey. He out. He got commuted. So a couple other people just naming some. I'm trying to think. A lot of these is just it looks like friends of friends of friends. Oh, here it is right here. Dwayne Michael Carter Jr.
Lil Wayne.
Yep. It says President Trump granted a full pardon to Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., also known as Lil Wayne. Mr. Carter pled guilty to possession of a firearm and ammunition by a convicted felon, owing to a conviction over 10 years. let me see here. Brent Purish of Sovereign Brands, who supports a pardon for Mr. Carter, describes him as a trustworthy, kind-hearted, and generous. Mr. Carter has exhibited his generosity through commitment to a variety of charities, including donations to research hospitals and a host of food banks. Deion Sanders, who also wrote in support of his pardon, calls Mr. Wayne a provider for his family, a friend to many, a man of faith, a natural giver to the less fortunate, a waymaker, and a game changer. You know what? That's bullshit. Now, okay, now I wish I didn't read that joke.
Because I was just about to say, I don't want to say bullshit, but I don't like when people use want to use faith when it comes down to stuff like that. Like, it's just certain stuff I don't play with. Don't try to use that as a tool to get you out of prison. Like, bro, we don't hear you talking stuff like that, man. So don't even
come on now. You know how many guys and people? I mean, a lot of this to me just seemed like money. He's generous with his money. He generous with his money. He generous with his money. He hosts the food banks. You know how many innocent people in prison right now? Black males, but y'all basically saying because he got a lot of people in there that, you know, wrote like you said, wrote on his behalf. He is trustworthy and kind-hearted and generous. Yeah, that has nothing to do with what he's being charged with. Oh. He had the weapon. He had the ammunition. He wasn't supposed to have it. And I know a lot of people are like, man, come on, man, stall a brother out. So, you know, that people can stall me out with that black pass crap. And it's because, like I said, I see too many guys who are absolutely innocent get in trouble for stuff they didn't do, but they ain't got the money, the lawyers, and everything else to do it. And I mean, whatever, man. Make an album, bitch.
Make an album.
That's my opinion.
And my whole thing about it ain't even like as far as Lil Wayne, but we already know about the system, that the system works just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But let it work out for people who is really going to affect. Like I said, Lil Wayne has money, and Lil Wayne has the cachet to get him out those things. So, like I said, the guys that are innocent who doesn't have the cachet doesn't get out, regardless of what their situation is or how innocent they may be. So that's my situation with that.
Yep. Well, that's why I agree with you. I was like, man, you know what? So let's just see. Whatever. That's a conversation for another day. Let's see what they do with this reform. But outside of that, you know, just looking at other people I see on this bad boy, a lot of them, like I said, it looks like they're friends of friends of friends. Couple of them in here, like 143. The list is open for anybody to see, just in case y'all want to watch it. If I do happen to go all 143, and I'll go ahead and put it on our business page for y'all too, as well. But I mean, I listened to the Breakfast Club this morning. It was funny. They had a conversation. They said, if Trump could have got you out of jail from doing something, and all you had to do was throw your support behind them, would you have done it too? The same way Wayne did.
Is this a question for everybody?
Yep.
I would say, and this is being honest, and I would say yes, only because of the situation. Like, look, if I'm a mother of somebody, right, who's supporting me, and if I gotta support this man to help get my son or significant other out of prison, that I need to help support me, then it's gonna happen regardless of what I may feel about it. But I mean, that's politics in a nutshell. Like, and we could talk about, you know, pride and we could talk about, you know, self-respect and things like that. But at the end of the day, people aren't forced with those ideas and ideologies. I mean, ideas and circumstances. So of course somebody's gonna do that. It's like, Randy, if I go ahead and say, hey, I'll give you $3 million to go ahead and support Trump, regardless how you feel, you go $3 million, like, go do it. I mean, that's just a fact. Like I said, the money is situation changes people. Not everybody or people that has money, but it's gonna change people. So, like I said, hey, if somebody somebody lock up my little brother, and I gotta support Trump to get him out, I mean,
Absolutely.
if I'm forced to do that, then I mean that's just what it is. But doesn't mean I even feel that way.
Yeah, I
It's like,
agree with you.
all right, and that's the real answer.
They said, well, Pookie, gotta stay. I told that Negro not to do it.
Duh.
I just like I agree with you. I just say, and I kind of agree with Charlemagne when he said it. He said, I can't really answer that question because it is a situational type question.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I was like, because one guy gonna say, man, we just live in a snitch culture. I'm like, where's the snitch? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Larry, let's lay this to rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole snitching thing. I think everybody get confused of what a snitch is.
All the time, cuz.
Like,
all the time.
I don't. I'm so look. Okay. Let me just lay it out. You are a snitch if you and I partake in something illegal, and you or I get caught and tell on the other person or whoever's involved, you're a snitch. You're a snitch. That's just the code. That's what you're doing. If the old lady across the street see you break into somebody's house and she calls the police, she's being a citizen. If I'm walking up the street and you're breaking into somebody's car, I'm gonna call the authorities. That's me being a citizen. Like I think Pharrell said it. Pharrell said, I'm a taxpaying citizen. I'm not saying I'm not in the gang culture. I'm not in the streets where I live by that code. Now, don't get me wrong. I know the difference between snitching. I mean, calling the authorities and minding my business.
Yeah.
I know the difference. So, and I think Charmaine even said this. It's good to go ahead and report those people because when you don't report them, that same crime can happen to you. Like I think he made the example of Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man, Peter Parker didn't stop the guy that stole the guy money after he won that little wrestling match, and that same guy he didn't stop killed his uncle. Now, if he would have had to do what he had supposed to did, then Uncle Ben would be alive today.
Right.
Because if that person can break in somebody else's car and somebody else's house, I decide not to tell, maybe my house may be the next one. Like,
I don't think people, like you said, I agree with you saying. And this didn't even have nothing to do with anything. That's the one that got me. I was like, what you talking about snitching? I'm like, okay, you told me on some other stuff. You're like, man, Trump a snake. Trump was raised. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, I know some of y'all do. Y'all talk a lot of junk, but I know some of y'all will, do a lot of stuff for less, way less than that. So I'm like, y'all just need to cut that out right off the cue back. So I just it is what it is on that one. But hey, to the 43 that got it, hey, you got it. Somebody, and I'm gonna tell you how people don't read. Right? Somebody told my girl, they'll say, hey, Suge Knight got out. Like,
they said,
say Suge Knight got pardoned. They meant to say Harry, but this is how people just pass through. I'm like, Suge Knight didn't get out. What are they talking about? And then she's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, they meant to say this guy. I'm like, yeah. So, but he's like, please, people, this year read.
Man, hey,
read, man. Stop just saying everything that you hear and read the shit. Because that's how stuff get always misconstrued. Because people just be just running with. Oh,
they see what thing and they say, oh, this happened versus actually reading the fine print.
Yep.
Fine print is the best thing that happened. It shows that people don't really care about looking at shit.
Absolutely, yeah, right. They ain't even realize you didn't read that. I didn't see that in the contract. Oh, you didn't read it in the contract, but it's there. So, I want to get into this one because this is really good. I was watching it other day. We've talked about mental health on here, but one thing we haven't talked about is one of those qualities we've talked about when you first meet people, especially if you're dating or you're married, or let's say that you already married, you already in a relationship, because this happens a lot. And I'm going to bring up this stat while we're talking about it, but let me see here. What do you do? Do you think you can stick it out? Because that'll go with those those wonderful vows that you make in marriage. But mental health, especially now with everything we got going on, do you think that you're able to stay with someone who has a mental illness or like developed a mental illness? Do you think you can stay with them? Do you think you can work it out with them? It may not be a lot of other issues, but this one might be it. But I don't know where you could come from: bipolar, depression, and things of that nature. I've had friends and real people that was close to me, and I've seen this more and more on Facebook now, that people are talking about, man, I'm just feeling depressed. I mean, people are being really open. I think it's a good aspect of it where people are like being open about it and maybe open to getting help. But then you got the other part about it that people, they'll say it out loud, but
They don't
believe they need no help. Yeah, they don't want to do nothing about it. So let's go with that. And I know I want you to answer this because you know what I'm saying, I know that you're married, got a wonderful wife, 2 beautiful kids that happen to be my god babies. It's a lot of stuff that could potentially happen in marriages, and I don't think this is talked about enough with people in relationships, even with people dating. Because how many times have you talked about? I know we've said like, "Oh man, she crazy or he crazy," but when we mean crazy, is that they might be tripping or something like that. But what happened if somebody really is got like, you know what I'm saying, some instabilities and the things of that nature? Is that like a total deal breaker, or is that a divorceable thing? In your opinion, what you think?
I think it's definitely not. It's not divorceable. I think having mental health issues is, now that it's in the climate of everybody actually coming forth with it and wanting to get help, I don't think it's a bigger issue. It's on how you address your mental health and as far as the mind state. So I'll go in to say mental health is a problem that I don't think is a deal breaker in a marriage, especially if you love the person, you're willing to deal with those situations. So that's something I think that is keen to that. The problem I will have, and which would be a deal breaker, if you don't address the mental issues and if it's affecting our relationship, then I think that's where the problem lies. Is that okay? Hey, I understand I have mental health issues, and I'm letting these mental health issues affect our relationship to where we can't be happy or to where we can't move on. Then yes, there are special people that has dealt with traumas. Like I said, let's look at not having a father, not having parents, or dealing with uh, death to a close loved one, whatever. All those are traumas that people deal with, and how you address them is how you get to move on. So addressing them and actually being patient enough to deal with your partner and know and say, hey, I know you're dealing with this. Are you willing to deal with it and be able to help me with it if it happens? Now, if this issue, like I said before, if it hinders your marriage, or if it hinders you guys are being happy, then yeah, of course I definitely see it being an issue. But it's up to that person to still try to get help. You just can't say, "Oh, I got issues," and you just deal with it. It's not going to help. I can get back to it, but I want to hear your side of it.
No, I know. I'm sitting here taking it in what you're saying, because I completely, it's that taboo, and we've been said this so many times. It's taboo in the Black community. Mental health is. It seems like every other race. And so, well, let me not say other race. I mean, but let's just say that a lot of times in the Black community, it's like you really don't want to. It's something that you don't want to say, because of a lot of, whether it be a lot of I want to say the spiritual stigma that come along with it. They're like, oh man, demon, but you got to go to the altar. You got to pray. And I'm all for prayer. I believe prayer changes things. Absolutely. But we also got to understand that there's nothing wrong with individuals getting medical help with that. And I ain't talking about drugs. We ain't talking about that.
I'll get to that.
We're talking about therapy. And I'm Kathy. I see what you're saying. You should have, you have to stay together on this issue. I agree with you on that. To death, yep, take you there. Yeah, I agree with that.
And you know what it is? It's like actually like growing up, I hear, hey, your uncle is crazy, your auntie
Yep.
is crazy because they may do things out of character, but we never looked at it as a mental health issue. It's like, okay, we just know we're not to do to set Uncle Ben off or Auntie Tracy off. So it's like we don't even look at crazy as far as, all right, is it something that we should maybe not bother? And another
Yep.
thing talking, you go ahead and go back because I want to jump on something after you're finished.
Oh no. So I just, I absolutely agree with you. And all that, and everything that you just said, Kathy. I want to put this up there. Wow. We're saying I know you had a couple on there, but I agree with that, and I think that, man, because there's a lot more people say cheating and things of that nature, but a lot of things can come up during the marriage. Postpartum depression. I have seen women have dealt with this, and the man he's totally clueless on what to do. He like, well, I mean, what's going on? Where he see that, you would think that the child in your life would be the happiest moments of your life, and she's going through this complete mental breakdown a little bit, mental, emotional, and I've seen where it's been trauma that come back from the past. You might have got married, but something happens during your relationship that triggers a memory, that triggers those feelings they had before that never got dealt with, whether it been rape, incest, everything. Even men, which a lot of people don't understand, have a lot of traumatic things happen to them,
Oh
whether they're
yeah,
robbery,
for sure,
whether they're
for sure.
or violence and things of that nature, molestation,
Abandonment.
so
Abandonment is a big one too.
poof, and they just don't understand that you have a lot of people walking around with PTSD. It ain't never been in the military. We ain't talking about military.
We
We
talk
talking
about
about
to stay in the hood.
just in the hood, just from doing this. You got people, they have done tests to show that when police officers pull behind somebody, even if it ain't no lights going on, that people, the heart rate just flutters up with a lot of males and blacks and people of color in the community. I mean, some of them because they know they riding dirty. Let's be
Or whatever. But even think about it as a kid. When you see the police, you run. Even if you don't do anything. If we're in the middle of the street playing basketball on a crate on the dang old light pole, and you see the police come, you run because you don't be the one left there because you don't know what's gonna happen. You just run. That's what we're trained to do. And like even people that aren't from the hood, like no matter what color you are, they don't see that, and it's like, okay, well, why am I running if I'm not doing anything wrong? Like, bro, all the stuff is even built in. Even let's take another thing, right? When we were talking about mental health, it's an emotion just like love, right? So let's just all right. So we're gonna go back to the whole spouse and mental health thing. How do you equate that together? How do you know where this person has mental issues to where it is a deal breaker? Like, or what is enough? What's the deal breaker as far as being a relationship with somebody that has mental issues? Like, how do you deflate that? How do you say, well, hey, this is the line crossed. This is what I'm willing to take. This is what I'm not willing to take.
Man.
Because if you love that person,
and I was gonna say,
how crazy you are. Like, if this person is crazy, like, all right, I'm willing to stick it out because I know where it would go. But what if it goes to a place that you're not expecting it to go?
Man, you just said a lot right there. When you just said that part right there, is like you're supposed to love them.
Yeah.
So with love, be leaving them. That man. Oof. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't, and let me put it like that. I wouldn't want to do it. I would want to stay out there and work it because this. Okay, so now they got an issue. So you gonna leave them desolate? I mean, that don't sit right with me. And that's why I go back to Cat. I'm putting this like, say that you know, it's just crazy, man. I just don't I think that people gotta take the vows seriously. I think people just say it and don't realize what they're saying half the time. They just, they do it out of ceremony. Like, yep, I do. Like, hold on, I do what? Did you not hear the vows that was being said? I am proud. Thank God I have been able, I have performed 10 marriages since I've been a minister. All of them are still going strong. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I've always said, especially when we get to those parts with those vows, I subconsciously, and I'm always praying, I'm like, God, what would you have me to say? Because I know how valuable marriage is. I understand it. But right now, they up here, they looking pretty. He's in his tux or suit. She's in this $1,000 gown she only gonna wear one time. What can I say to them that they can understand the seriousness of this situation? And one of those things I always say, I always bring up the ring. I said, when y'all put this ring on, I want you to understand it, that this is not for decoration. This is a declaration. This means that you declare to each other before God your commitment to each other through hard and bad, through good and worse, through rich and poor, through sickness and health, that you all saying, I declare I am going to be with this individual. Come hell or high water. And I think what happens is that people get so lost in the majesty, they get lost in the wedding, they get lost in the beautiful decorations, the doves, if you got that kind of money, pigeons if you don't. If you got all these things going on, oh man, I love it. You feed 300 some odd people who are not going to be there when the hell is breaking loose. They're never going to be there. You got to remember, or when you get to the point where you have to deal with maybe some insecurities that your wife had that you didn't know she had before, or you had to deal with some issues that just finally came out about your husband, and now you're like, whoa, I didn't realize this was there, because situations bring out those things.
And that's why, my bad. And that's why, anybody I talk to, as far as me and Crystal being married, everything, I waited. We waited to see, all right, the good and the bad, and hey, I could deal with this. Could I deal with this to the second power? Could I deal with this to the third power? Yep. And that's where it can get tested. Heck, I even dealt with it to the second and third power to know that, hey, can I be happy with this for the rest of my life?
Yep.
And so I got another question for you too.
Yep.
How can you distinguish in a relationship with your spouse mental health issues versus just being angry, mental health issues versus just being somebody who doesn't understand, or somebody who may be a little slow, whatever? How can you distinguish that? Because we can't get the two mixed up. Let's just say somebody's always angry. Oh, that's because something mentally wrong with you, or just because you're not at a state where somebody should expect you at, that you have mental issues. I would like you to go ahead and break that down for the people.
Okay. And let's do this too. Hey, how you doing, Tiff?
What's up, sis? Thanks for tuning in.
And I like the statement said that's hopefully something you would see before marriage, so you can make a decision if that's something you want to deal with. Depression is one thing, but mental illnesses like schizophrenia, yeah, you know what, and that, and I agree with you on that, because some of them, like I said, it's big things. Depression is something that can occur, and look, schizophrenia, bipolar, things of that. Now, we that's when we get onto some ends. You will hopefully that you will see things like that before marriage, but then that's where we go when we talk about,
hey,
y'all should be doing stuff, or y'all should be engaging in activities that force y'all to get to know each other. If that makes sense.
Hey, Tiffany,
get to know each other.
If you want, I would like for you to jump in on this topic. Send me your email and I can send you the link. Send me your email on the chat or text it to me, and I'll put you in.
And Kathy, and I see that too. Miss Kathy, I see it said, I would never leave mine. I know he would not leave me. I have issues that he didn't know about until years down the road. And I guess that's what we're talking about. And I agree with that because I think because I understand what Tiff talking about to the schizophrenia. See, those are things that are like, yeah, you should be. I'm a firm believer in you need to expose those things, but sometimes some people feel like if it's never asked, it's like don't tell.
Right.
And I think that especially in this era where we're going into now, where I was gonna say, let me see your bill of health, and that's why we titled it this, is because we're getting to a point now where people thought that people that were in relationships that thought it was good now are forced to spend time with each other. This is what COVID has done. It's forced people to spend time with each other, where they normally were just skipping by each other and talking and things of that nature. Now, some people had to work from home now. Both of them had to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to be around them all the time. You can't go out. You can't have that beer with the fellas before you go home now. Now you got to go home and deal with those things.
Or you can't go to your other girlfriend house.
You can't go to the side. You can't go to the side, or the woman, everything else of that nature. Now you have to deal with them. We've seen so many like relationships go down. Like, you know what? Yeah, I think this is a good thing. And why I say I think this is a good thing is because people tend not to get to know people. They get to know them sexually. They get to know the fun aspect of it, but they don't get to know, like you just said a little while ago, they don't get to know the you know what I'm saying, the nastiness, the things that you want to find out about them that you're like, okay, I'm all right with that. So I think people got to understand that I believe you should be revealing and telling in a lot of the things that you have. And then you also need to be accepting to the fact that somebody might not want to deal with it. You might have to be like, okay, well, I'm all right. I don't want to deal with that. But like Kathy said, there's some issues that you don't know about, not because someone purposely didn't tell you. Some people thought stuff was gone. You never know. You know how, you discover, like you said, anger. I don't think anger is really a mental issue per se. I think it's a characteristic of some mental issues. If somebody just got a bad temper, that means that you got a lack of self-control. You can't be just, going off on the wrath and a tangent every time you don't get your way or something piss you off. That means you have a lack of somewhere in your down the line, you got a lack of self-control somewhere. You're ready to pop off like this. Experiences made you do that. But I think that for most people, when you're making that decision where you wanted to be with somebody, those things that you know about, like, everybody not going to tell that they got raped.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody not going to tell that. I remember being dating a woman and she told me that, and I sat and I was like, whoa, and I listened. And I think it kind of made her like, what happened? And I was like, I'm listening to you because I might have been the first person you told this to, and you might want an ear to listen because, I haven't experienced what you're just talking about. So,
and the sick part about that is, Randy, like, and it's really, really sick. The sick thing is that a lot of, I would say approaching, a mature age, people don't look at rape as a part of trauma. Like it's kind of like, oh, all right, this is what happened, and it's something I can choose to deal with, something I can choose to let affect me, but we don't really see how bad it is till after we realize and deal with it that is wrong. Like even me, like I said, I was somebody who had got molested when I was younger, and I never thought it was a problem by a lady. Let me just get out the way, but I never thought it was a problem until after I got older. and you know, I'm like, okay, I'm a guy. This is a woman. So like, what's the issue? And I became to grow into the issue after I realized like how this can actually affect somebody.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's what, like I said, it's everything. It's crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, but I mean, that's the best, you know, like you think about it, you're like, wow, so many different things and so many. That's why it's when you don't take relationships lightly. You don't jump into everything just to jump. It's a constant effort. And I love what Tiffany said. You would hope. And see that word hope is it's a really powerful word because people use it a lot when people say hope. Like I hope I should hope, but people don't understand that, man, it is. We would like to think that everything would be done the right way. And it's a saying that it said, if it's too much like, it ain't gonna be done right. If it's too much like right, it ain't gonna get done. But just because the definition of hope is a feeling of expectation and a desire for a certain thing to happen. I like that. That's a good definition. My goodness.
Hey, cuz I'm about to put Tiff on in a second.
Okay, cool. And it's a feeling of expectation and desire. This is the one I like the most. A desire for a certain thing to happen. So you got an expectation. You hope that someone would tell you everything that is of importance prior to you making a huge commitment. But the problem is that a lot of the things that you need to know, they're only going to come out in situations. It's just the bottom line. Somebody could tell you, I don't have a bad temper. How I know? We ain't had no situation where you have to have a bad temper.
Gotta have one. So now we bring up, and I think this is a genius topic because you're breaking out two different dynamics, and it's like, okay, so how do you know? Like, this is why it's important. I think, and Tiff alluded to it earlier. This is why you got to see all this before marriage, because if I never saw you angry, I don't know how crazy you are. If I never saw you upset, I don't know what extremes you'll go to. I was watching the game. What's up, sis?
Hey,
Hey,
all right, so everybody,
I get myself together a little bit.
This is my beautiful sister-in-law, Tiffany Burrell. Welcome to the show. We thank you for tuning in. This is a great topic. I would like you in because we love your insight and we like your input on all this. So you can go ahead and jump in on any time. Like I said, we were just going in into what you alluded to earlier, that we should go ahead and kind of see this before we get into a marriage. Yeah. So how do you get to that point where, like, if somebody's never angry, how do I know how you are when you're angry? How do I know when you are upset? How I know you're good with money or how you're good with people if I never saw you in those situations?
I think that's the thing, is exactly what you said. You need time to see those areas. You need to see them around other people. You need to see them in those situations. And I don't think you should move forward until you do. Now, me, I come from the more spiritual side, so I'm going to seek God and fast and pray because I know that He knows everything. Even when people are lying and hiding things, the Holy Spirit knows all. So I trust God completely in that. But definitely time reveals all. So I'm a strong proponent of waiting until having sex, because sex clouds judgment. It clouds and hides things. So for me, it's time. I need to see you I need to see you when you're sad. I need to see you when you're angry. I need to see you around people. How do you interact with people? How do people respond to you when you're there? Yeah. All that. Yeah. And then back to answer your question, I feel like there's a difference when someone gets angry and upset and how they respond to that versus someone actually having anger issues. Like someone who in nursing, we have to do assessments on patients. And one of the questions is, do you have a history of property destruction? Are people embarrassed when they're with you? Those are questions that we ask people to kind of gauge, okay, is this someone who is a danger to themselves or a danger to other people? So you can ask people that, have you ever like gone to a hotel room and just destroyed it? Stuff like that. So I think there is a difference between someone having anger issues and then having a history of like violence and anger.
Hey, Kat, I want to address the comment you just made. So you said you learn how to bury it. You never want anyone to know about one trauma in your life. I don't know if I agree with that, only because I understand there's certain things you don't want to bring to your partner, as far as like, hey, you can't know every single person I slept with, you know what I mean? Something like that. But if it's certain things that, hey, this thing or this situation got me to a point to where I did this or my actions caused me to do this, I think you want to know that because you want your partner to be aware of, hey, what's going to set you off or how far you had to be pushed to get to this point. And if you went ahead and destroy somebody, like, what's common where women want to destroy somebody's car, slash their tires, bleach their clothes or whatever, and outside of actually being alluded to that all the time, it's insanity. So if my wife had said, if my wife had destroyed our house and destroyed our car or whatever, I want to know, hey, what pushed you to this point so I could be aware not to do that, or I could be aware of, hey, this is where this problem's going to come from, where it won't happen. So that one, if you want to go in some more on that, that's fine. But that's something that I would want to know as a partner.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And it's helpful to know those. That I was talking to someone recently, and they said they had gotten married, and on their wedding night, they didn't consummate the marriage. In fact, they didn't consummate for 5 years. 5 years. And come to find out, she had an issue with being sexually assaulted. I forgot who assaulted her, but because she had that buried deep within her and didn't tell her, well, then boyfriend, fiance, now they're in this sexless marriage. That ain't cool. Like, therapy. I mean, while you're single, I know some people want to hide it and bury it, but you never know how that stuff manifests later in your attitude and how you react to people. So yeah, stuff like that. I agree, Mac. I would want someone to tell me that stuff. And same for me, if I've gone through stuff, I'm going to tell you, like, this is what I've gone through. This is why I behave this way, because this happened.
Yeah, and hopefully, like I said, Kathy, talk about that situation, that if you're in a relationship with somebody deep enough, hopefully they will get to understand, and not to be the point where like, oh, you're crazy, you did that, I don't want to deal with you. Understand why I did it, or like how I got to the point where this action had to be taken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm listening and I'm taking it all in. Kathy, I see where you said, and I don't know if you saying that you learning to bury it. What I'm thinking with the comment that you said, the way I'm taking it is that you're saying that that's why with some people, that's how they learn to deal with situations. They learn how to bury it because they don't want everybody to know what's going on. And I take it like it was a movie. It's a really good movie. It's called Sleepers, and it was about 4 boys. It got Brad Pitt in there, and these boys end up going to this detention center. And what ended up happening is that the guards were beating them and raping them. And when before they left out of there, because it was only for like a year that they were there. But the trauma was so bad, they were killing boys. But these particular 4 boys, they were getting raped. And even the night before they were all about to get out, the guards brought them all together and raped them all. The boys had made a pact. They said, man, I don't want to let nobody know about this. Like, I ain't going home to tell my mom and them about this and blah, 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 blah. But what ended up happening is that 2 of the boys end up being some of the worst killers that you can imagine. They was some of the most feared guys in the neighborhood. They saw one of the guys at a bar, the old guards, and they killed him. They shot him to death. And then what ended up happening is a whole trial. But go ahead and watch. I don't want to go through the whole plot of the movie. But what I'm stating is that why it's important about the funny thing about burying things that are alive is that they tend to dig their way out.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That's the problem with that. You can't, when you it's easy to bury dead things because they didn't go. But when something is still alive and living in you, never resolved, it's going to eventually come back. It's just like, as they say, sweeping things underneath the rug. The problem with sweeping dirt under the rug is that the rug rises up and eventually you're going to say, oh man, it's still everything here. Like I said, when we use that word hope, and like I was saying, when you said it, Tiffany, in there, you say, hopefully they would tell you this information. And like I said, when we read the definition of it, the biggest word that stuck, like I said, to me in that definition was desire for a certain thing to happen. So you would hope that someone would tell you the things that would be detrimental to the relationship. Some things you can.
Woo.
And I definitely agree with that.
Woo, Miss Kathy.
It's something I had to say. I had to bury rape when I was a teenager because of the way I was raised. I was told I should have been a good girl, so it was buried. And you know what? That's that family thing of
that's the
uncle,
craziest
uncle or something like that. Things happen, and I understand what she's talking about. And
I know what she's talking about. Yeah. I know exactly what she's talking about. And Miss Kathy, I'm glad that you're good now, and I'm definitely sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
A thing with that, I don't know if it's a Southern thing, whatever, but when that happens to you in a family, it's kind of like you're looked at different if you were to tell somebody. Even like the wrong person, you tell your parents or somebody you're close to, it's like they're not supposed to believe you. Like let's just say if somebody's brother had messed with somebody's daughter, they don't supposed to believe that their brother did that to their daughter. And so it's a thing that, hey, this happened, you're not going to say anything because this can't come out the way it should come out, or that she's lying or whatever. But it's this whole strange taboo is the reason that some of the stuff happens and the reason that it's not being resolved, because we're told that this didn't happen, this don't affect you, or it was your fault. And that takes a toll on people. And I'm glad now that's starting to be more warranted to where, hey, we have to address this. Like who could be around your kids, or how somebody touched you, or how somebody spoken to you, or how you feel when you're around this person. I'm glad that could be addressed more openly now, because back then, especially like stories that I've been told, things that even happened in my family, it's that, hey, you don't say anything, or that this didn't happen, or you've done something to where you made this happen. Yeah. So I Miss Kathy, I definitely understand like where you're coming from.
But it's not a Southern thing either. That type of situation happens in a lot of families, rich, poor. It don't matter. It's about the family holding face. Saving face. That's what that's about. Like, no, that's our business. That stay in house.
Yeah.
And that's happened for too long. So I think with a lot of things that's coming out now, like I said, which I think is a lot better, is that a lot of times people were told, we're not gonna go here and say that, no matter where it's gonna happen, take it to the altar. And that's like I said, that's an aspect of things. And I'm saying I'm a very, strong component of prayer. But I'm also, as someone who has had therapy, and realizing that it is extremely helpful to have an individual who doesn't know you, who can't be biased, to sit and hear you and not interrupt you when you're speaking. Before you know it, you say something that you didn't ever realize. It's almost like you almost literally stopped yourself. I'm just telling my experiences. That I'm literally just like, whoa, I didn't know I still had that in me. And you come to find out because now you open it up, because you don't have somebody saying, keep that quiet or man up. See, that's the biggest thing that when they come with a lot of black males, that's what a lot of black males have, a lot of this false bravado of this what a man is supposed to be. That vulnerability is not quality of manhood. And that was the biggest lie that's ever been told, you know what I'm saying, within our race when it comes to men, that you can't be vulnerable, and that if something is bothering you, eat it up, move on. You got to do what you got to do. And guess what? You got a lot of guys that's been eating it up, but it never digested. All it did is stay right there in their gut, and it become worse and worse and worse. And instead of them being able to handle things in a more mature fashion, knowing how to understand and express their emotions and their feelings in a more healthy way, now you're experiencing gunplay. Now you're experiencing all these other things that were just constant outbursts of wrath and violence, whether it is and how they take it out. A lot of it, what it can stem from. It's men and women, but men, it can stem from, dad not there. You know how many guys been sitting on the porch waiting for dad to come when he said he'd be there, never showed up, and what they do? They cry. You try to cry. Somebody like, no, don't cry.
Don't cry.
Man up.
Don't cry.
Man up. Forget it. Like, that's easy for someone to say when they don't realize how important that a strong male figure is in your life, not just for the son, but for the daughter too.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, Kathy, I mean, I'm happy now that I see it. I think this generation, especially a lot of youngers, I'm 38. So I've seen a lot of youngers where they kind of getting out here where they feel comfortable about, look, I got some mental issues and I need to get help for them. And that's, like I said, I think that's good to go get help for them. I think it's a combination of things. I think that a healthy spiritual prayer life is vital. And a lot of people might not agree, where it is and how is that going. That's fine. And like I said, I ain't in the trying to force anything down it, but I believe that's something that you need to have. And the other aspect of it is that you got to have good communication, and you got to be able to get your feelings out here. And the honesty shouldn't be the only policy. It should be the only policy. You know what I'm saying? Not the best, but it should be the only policy that you
I got a question for both of y'all. I got two of them since we're talking about mental health. What are you guys' opinions are on drugs as far as therapy and getting addressed as far as using them to get better, or is it helping? And you brought up earlier, Randy, gosh, you just said it, I almost forgot it. I forgot it. I'll bring up the second one later. But what do you guys input on drugs as far as getting help as far as mental health? Do you think it's helping? It's not helping?
Tiff, you go ahead and take that.
When you say drugs, are you talking about prescription?
Prescription, yes.
Okay. I mean, I think there are certain mental health issues that require medicine. I'm a strong proponent for prayer too, seeking God. Like, that's high on my list, but I do think sometimes medicine is needed. So I wouldn't shy away from that necessarily. I know some people with mental health issues, they'll take it for a period and then say, oh, I feel better, and then stop taking it, and then they kind of relapse. But I do feel like that's what some people do need it, because their case could be so severe that, I mean, it's warranted. So I would be okay with prescription drugs. Now, a lot of people don't seek help and they turn to illicit drugs, so like marijuana, crack, hair, all that, but they're just masking everything. They need to be under a physician's care with some prescribed medicine to help with that. So yeah, I'm for prescription drugs. I know a lot of people don't like it, and the side effects, but I've seen it help people being in the healthcare field.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I agree. I agree with everything what you just said, because I've seen where someone who, when they take their medication, is doing fine. They're doing fine, and when they're doing it regularly as prescribed, and I think the biggest thing that you just said is that underneath the guidance of a licensed physician to get exactly what you need, not when like I'm gonna miss it for 3 weeks and then I'm gonna take a whole bunch on one day. Like, no, that's not what you want to do. But I've seen it, and I had to ask, and it's that delicate situation because of someone close. Like, you're not trying to say that they going nutsy, but you're trying to say, hey, you remember to take your meds today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And depending on where they at, I could tell if they did or not. Like, yep, I got it. Or they're like, why you bugging me about that? I'm like, okay, yeah, you really didn't take it. You know, so I think I agree with you. I just think that it's got to be like, I think it's a balance. I think it's more so a lot of things. I don't like to see people totally drug dependent.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I could say, drug dependent. Like I said, I think a lot of stuff gonna kind of make people a little bit upset if I keep saying prayer, 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 but that's what I do, and that's what's worked. So I would tell people, I think it's a balance. You should license physician tell you to take it as needed, and continue to pray and continue to stay strong and hold fast on God.
I remember that second question. I think I'll be done with questions.
Mhm.
So I know we talked about, abandonment, molestation, and everything as far as alluding to having mental issues. Are there grades or levels to mental issues? And if there are, what are some of the like the cutoffs or the deal breakers? So like I said, we got when we talk about abandonment where, men like guys grow with no fathers and they don't want to be committed to anybody because they can't trust you, or being abused, so you're abusing somebody else, or like even Tiff, talked about earlier, just somebody being sexually abused, so now they're in a sexless marriage. Like, so are there levels, and like what are the deal breakers as far as, hey, I can deal with this and I can't deal with this?
I feel like it's two sides of the same coin, because there's mental illness typically is like a biochemical process in your brain. So things more like schizophrenia, bipolar, like there's a chemical imbalance. So there might be things that kind of trigger that, but that's almost kind of like it's going to happen because there's something's going on in the brain. Now, issues where you've been like molested or abused and issues that come from that, I think that depends on each person and like as far as what they can handle. I think there are level like depression. There's some people who are mildly depressed and there's people who have severe depression. But there are some mental illnesses where it's like chemically something's going on that's causing how they behave. But when it comes to things like trauma related illness, like mental illness, I think there are levels to it, but it's just a matter of what that person's willing to kind of tolerate, or I guess deal with, if that makes sense. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does.
Yeah, that
Oh,
makes some. I like the answer to that one. I really
yeah.
ain't got to really say a lot because Tiffany kind of stealing all my answers.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with that because I think it is. It's everybody. I don't like that saying, but it is true. It's different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm.
And what one person is willing to tolerate, another person like, nope, that's it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing, like when Tiffany was talking about, when she said she was they're in a sexless marriage. But this is why every time, especially on this show, when we talk about dating, when we talk about relationships, we always say that number one thing is communication. You got to get to know people. Most relationships don't last, not because you don't talk, you don't ask the right questions. Some people, we don't ask the questions that we should be asking in relationships. And then we're not believing the answer when we hear it. A lot of people do this a lot. Somebody starts showing you in situations like, whoa, there's a difference between someone being passionate about something and being irrational about something.
Yeah.
And when you have that conversation, I'm really it makes you say, so were y'all saving yourselves for marriage the whole time? When I think about the situation you were just talking about, Tim, like, were y'all saving yourselves? Y'all never got the discussion about sex. And then you got married.
Right.
Now it's still worse. It's not even no sex. So nothing was ever said about, whoa, yeah, I had this kind of thing happen to me. Like, one of my, like I said, I'm a big movie person. Antoine Fisher. when everybody was like, man, why you ain't trying to talk to that girl? And he was molested. And like at the age of, I think it was like, what, 6, 7, or 8, and he was molested.
Like, yeah.
And he had to tell, and he had to, and then another part, who was he talking to? He had a psychiatrist to talk to. He had the therapist to talk to. And he almost got attached to the therapist. But he was able to tell, like, man, I just, she made me do some things. And, because he just let him talk. And I think the problem, like I said, with most, when it comes to like the situation you was talking about, is that we have got to learn better communication skills. Relationships have just faltered because people generally just don't know how to communicate. And we ain't talking about 147 characters on Twitter. We're talking about a full-blooded conversation with honesty and being forthcoming. And that's the other part. You got to be honest. If you ain't with something, say you ain't with it. Don't say like, oh man, I love skydiving. And you're like, oh no, me too. And then you find out when you get in the plane, like, no, I can't do this. I'm afraid of heights. You knew this before you got on the plane. So this is where it is. You got to be honest. And it's the best thing, like I said, honest communication. And y'all got to listen to each other's answers. You just can't wait for the other person to stop talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool beans. Tiff, thank you so much. We
appreciate you, sis. I'm glad you came. I'm glad you commented because I'm like, and just hearing your answers before, I'm like, yeah, we got to get you on, man. So we really
we want to say thank you to Tiff because Tiff is one of the brave women who actually came on. We gave her the invitation and she came on here. We thank you so much.
Come on.
Oh, they be scared, especially.
They're good to go. They'll comment. They don't want to come on and talk. I'm like, come on, let's talk. So we thank you, Tiff, for coming on and talking. I'm glad that Matt got you on here, and that's cool beans. So thank you so much. You always welcome to come back when you always have the opportunity.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem.
All right.
And everybody, tonight we appreciate y'all. Next week, same. So I already got everything all planned out. Kathy, I am so happy that you came on here tonight. It looks like everybody is going to be doing this thing where they're going to be watching it and viewing it on their own. Kathy, I have a gift pack for you from Unfiltered. I appreciate you so much. We're going to make that way to get that out to you. Tiff, thank you so much. We love you so much. We got you something. We got you an Unfiltered t-shirt and everything else, and you better wear it.
Oh, thank you.
And to everybody else out there, we appreciate you. Next week, Wednesday, back to our 7 o'clock time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Mac, I don't know if you might got anything else to lead everybody out with.
Yeah, I do. First off, before I end it out, I want to say, sis, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you. And we just thank you for, just for your knowledge and just for your expertise on mental health and everything. And we thank you so much, sis. Miss Kathy, I want to thank you for being able to come on and share your story and share your feelings on things that have happened. And I know that was probably hard to share, but the things that you have said that's happened to other people that may not want to say it because they think it only happened to them. And we really appreciate you bringing that out because, like I said, that's a tough thing to bring up, to say, hey, this happened to me and I was told not to say anything, or this happened to me and now I gotta make somebody that I love look bad because they told me not to say anything. And that really touched me because, like I said, that happened to me too. Not necessarily everything that happened to you, but I can definitely relate. And I'm pretty sure that somebody else that's viewing this and somebody else, that anybody across the world can definitely relate to this. So we thank you for definitely, sharing that with us, and we appreciate you. Everybody, thank you for your time. Continue to like, share, subscribe, and we will see y'all next Wednesday at 7. We are continuing with the giveaways, so please stay tuned. Please continue to be a part. Thank y'all.
All right. Till next week, everybody. See y'all on Unfiltered.